abnormal constituents. Commonest one is reducing sugars. Okay, so what is this condition called as or known as? Glycosuria. So today's topic is a detailed discussion on the pathophysiology and biochemical changes in glycosuria, all the types and classification of glycosuria. So to define glycosuria, we may say the presence of reducing sugars in urine is known as glycosuria. Okay, not the presence of glucose only. What are the reducing sugars we know? All monosaccharides, few disaccharides and no polysaccharides. Okay, so among the disaccharides, which doesn't give positive for reducing sugar? Sucrose. So the reducing property of any carbohydrate lies in the free functional group. Functional group. What are the functional groups of carbohydrate? Aldehyde and ketone. So all the monosaccharides, they have free aldehyde or ketone groups with them. In disaccharides, mostly one group is used for glycosidic bond. In case of sucrose, both the functional group. Which are the monosaccharides that are used for formation of sucrose? Glucose and fructose. So both their aldehyde and keto group, they are used while forming the glycosidic bond. So there is no free functional group. That's why sucrose is negative for reducing sugars. Okay, so presence of any reducing sugar in urine is known as glycosuria. So what is glucosuria? Presence of glucose, only glucose. So we can differentiate glycosuria based on the type of sugar found, reducing sugar found in urine. Okay, on depending on the characteristic or the type of the carbohydrate. So it can be glucosuria, lactoseuria, fructoseuria, galactoseuria or pentosuria. Okay, next, before coming the glucosuria part, so we get our glucose from the source of carbohydrate is food. We intake food and from digestion and absorption, body collects the required carbohydrate, mainly in the form of glucose. And that's why major carbohydrate or the most important carbohydrate in our study is glucose. So what is the normal blood sugar level of any individual?
70 to 110 ma'am, that is as per ADA.
As per ADA, we can divide the ranges in 3 categories. Okay, not any random value is 70 to 100. So the values of blood sugar can be distinctly separated in 3 groups, 3 parts, or according to the time of taking blood samples. Okay, related to food intake or not. So the first stage is fasting. In fasting, the normal range for an healthy individual varies from 70 to 100. 70 to 100. Normal. Normal is known as reference range. This is blood glucose level. For fasting, it is 70 to 100. What is the unit? Milligram per dl. Okay. Then comes postprandial value. Okay. After food, after 2 hours of taking the food, the moment we start eating, we have to watch the time and we have to give sample exactly 2 hours after starting the food. Okay, what is the value normal range of PP? It is less than 140 milligram per dl. postprandial. Postprandial, that means after food. Okay, after food, postprandial. So the normal or the cutoff is less than 140 for normal healthy individuals. Another blood glucose level we can estimate, that is random, irrespective of the state of feeding or fasting. Okay, like this is fixed after 2 hours. This is fasting for 8 to 10 hours. Okay, minimum 8 to 10 hours fasting. Random is random timing. So this is also should be less than 140 milligram per DL. But to detect diabetes or to say whether someone is diabetes or not, this value should cross 200 milligram per DL to say whether the person is diabetic or not. Right? So fasting also, if it crosses 126 milligram per DL, we can say that the person is diabetic. Clear? So, yes. For fasting, normally 70 to 100 milligram per DL. If it crosses 126 at any instance, okay, then we should check for PP. If PP is also more than 200, okay, clear? And though this is not related to exact blood glucose level, but another parameter is there, that is HbA1c. Okay, glycated hemoglobin. Glycated hemoglobin is the glucose load attached with RBCs, hemoglobins. Okay, so this value should come below 6 and this is expressed as percentage. This is the confirmatory diagnostic part for diabetic mellitus. If it comes more than 6, we will say it is diabetes mellitus. Okay, fine. So these are the most commonly used parameters to estimate our blood glucose and to detect diabetes. Fine. So now we know what is the concentration, normal concentration of glucose in our blood. Now what happens to the blood once it is loaded with glucose? Like after taking food, after 1 to 2 hours, blood glucose level will rise and blood will circulate to all the tissues and provide enough glucose to the tissues. So blood will also pass one organ, that is liver and kidneys. Okay, so what happens in kidneys? Blood is filtered, filtration occurs. So is glucose filtered in kidneys? After a range. After a range of 180, that is known as renal threshold. Okay, so this is clear, this is written. So we will look for the normal physiological role of kidneys in glucose transport or glucose reabsorption or filtration first. Then we will proceed to the pathology part. So this is a nephron. So what are the parts? This is afferent, glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, PCT, loop of Henle, DCT, collecting duct. Okay, fine. We will look into two parts mainly. Number one, this is this part, the glomerular filtration part, and we will look into this part, that is PCT. Okay, so what happens in glomerular filtration or in the filtration part? Glucose is 100% freely filtered in the filtrate. Okay, glucose is 100% freely filtered in the filtrate. What is filtrate? This fluid which comes from the blood. Okay, so this contains 100% of glucose initially. In the Bowman's capsule, in the filtrate, it contains 100% of the glucose that is passing through the glomerulus. Okay, so now what happens? And this depends on nothing is this is not dependent on any factor. Okay, irrespective of the blood glucose level, irrespective of the GFR, irrespective of anything. Next comes the PCT. What happens here? So this is the lumen. If this is the lumen of PCT, and these are the tubular cells, and there is another thing, that is the blood vessels. Correct? We all know there is vasa recta and all. So there are blood vessels along with the cells. So this is tubular lumen. This is the PCT cell. This is blood vessel. Okay. Now what happens? Here plays a role of a transporter. Okay. So which transporter is there? SGLT2. Okay. SGLT2. A fan on kor dena. So we have 100% of glucose here. Right? 100% glucose coming from the filtrate, in the filtrate. So SGLT full form is sodium dependent glucose transporter 2. Sodium dependent glucose transporter 2. Okay. So in the initial part of PCT, in S1 and S2, there is SGLT2. In S3, there is SGLT1. Okay. S1, S2, S3 is the segments of PCT. Initial two segments, they contain the transporter SGLT2. From here to here, from here to here, it can be divided into 3 zones. Okay, that will come under your anatomy and physiology mainly. So here, what we will look for is, in the initial part of the early PCT, the transporter, glucose transporter is SGLT2, and in the later part it is SGLT1. So what is the difference? It is, the difference lies between the capacity and the affinity. SGLT2, it is low affinity but high capacity. Whereas this is high affinity low capacity. That means SGLT2 is less specific for glucose, but it will transport all the glucose, high capacity. Whereas S3 in SGLT1, it has high affinity for glucose, but its capacity is low. Okay, so what happens? The first two part, this helps in reabsorbing 90% of the filtered glucose. Okay, and rest of the 10% is transported via SGLT1. That's how 100% of glucose is reabsorbed in PCTs only. So no glucose will pass into loop of Henle. Clear? So is this clear? বোঝা গেছে না আরেকবার রিপিট করব? Okay. So in PCT we see sodium dependent glucose transporter. This is the important part for biochemistry. Question will come from this part. Okay. Which glucose transporter is present in PCT? Both SGLT1 and 2 they are present. In the initial part in S1 S2 SGLT2 is there. Okay. That helps in reabsorption of 90% of the filtered glucose as they are high in capacity. More in number, high in capacity, they will absorb all the glucose coming through them. The rest, what is left, that is again transported via SGLT1 in the distal part of PCT. Okay, clear? That's how 100% what was filtered by the Bowman's capsule in the Bowman's capsule, that will be reabsorbed in PCT only. Nothing will pass down the urine. Okay, clear? Low capacity is SGLT1. This is regarding the transporter. This is regarding SGLT2, the transporter, and S1, S2, S3 is the segments. Okay, clear? Now another thing is here, that is another transporter from this cell to tubular cells to blood vessel, and this is GLUT2, glucose transporter 2. This is independent of sodium, and this is this acts according to the concentration. Okay, so what happens to the sodium? কালকের ক্লাসে কিন্তু ওরা বলতে পেরেছে what happens to this sodium? Not always secreted, it is transported back to blood vessel with exchange of potassium by the help of sodium potassium ATPase. Okay, so transporter পড়ানো হয়নি তোদের এখনো? Transporters এখনো হয়নি. Okay, so here is GLUT2 transporter in the basolateral membrane or in the basement membrane. Okay, clear? That helps in transport of the reabsorbed glucose further into the blood. Okay, so two main transporters that act in reabsorption is SGLT2 and GLUT2. Easy to remember, both with number 2, SGLT2 and GLUT2. Okay, majority of SGLT1 transporter is seen in, no, other than kidney, in intestine. Okay, in intestine the main transporter is SGLT1. Clear? It is high affinity from food. It have to, like, they have to accumulate all the dietary glucose. Is this clear? This basic part? Now there are two factors. Okay, there are two factors that affect the reabsorption part. One is TM, that is transport maximum. What is transport maximum? The rate of reabsorption of glucose in PCT. Rate of glucose reabsorption in PCT. In a healthy individual, it is around 375 milligram per minute. Rate of reabsorption, so 375 milligram per minute, 375 milligram of glucose can be reabsorbed per minute. Okay. So this is one factor. Second factor is renal threshold. What is renal threshold? The concentration of plasma glucose, the values I told you about was plasma glucose, blood glucose. So at which concentration and at which level of plasma glucose urine will start excreting glucose? That is more than, like, renal threshold is 180, okay? Renal threshold is 180 milligram per dl. So above this, blood will or glucose will be excreted in urine. Below which, no glucose in urine. Fine. Why this happens? Why this happens? Because in this PCT, if this concentration rise, like it is beyond 200, suppose this is 200, but we have limited number of transporters only. So if all the transporters are occupied, so the excess amount will automatically get excreted, will pass down. Right? So renal threshold, value of renal threshold plays that part. Okay, if it is more than 180, any healthy individual will start excreting glucose in urine, resulting in glucosuria. Our main motto of today's class is to understand glucosuria. This is just the physiology I am talking about. So these two factors, they can be deranged, resulting in glucosuria. So transport maximum, how it can be defective? If the transporters are defective, if the designated transporters are defective, then transport maximum automatically decrease. Suppose in S1, S2, 70% transporters are working. So that will reduce transport maximum, although the blood glucose level is normal. 100% is getting filtered. So body should reabsorb all the 100%, first 90% in this part, but here it can reabsorb only, or here the acting transporters are active for 70% only. So though blood glucose level is normal, it will start eliminating glucose in urine. So if TM, transport maximum, decrease, it will lead to glucosuria. If renal threshold is exceeded, it will also lead to glucosuria. Bujha jacche? Clear? Now, so now we can classify our glucosuria into two types, right? Based on the factors responsible for reabsorption. So we can classify glucosuria into hyperglycemic glucosuria and normoglycemic glucosuria, right? In hyperglycemic glucosuria, what happens? Renal threshold is exceeded. In normoglycemic, TM is decreased. Okay, so glucosuria can be divided into two parts. Glucosuria or glycosuria, not glucosuria, glycosuria can be divided into two parts. One is hyperglycemic, another is normoglycemic. What happens here? Increased blood glucose more than renal threshold, and here what happens? Decreased transport maximum. Clear? In hyperglycemic, blood glucose level is more than the renal threshold, that is, it is more than 180. What are the pathological conditions we may see in or resulting in hyperglycemic condition? First of all, diabetic mellitus. diabetes mellitus. Next is thyrotoxicosis. Thyrotoxicosis is unusual amount of release of thyroid hormones resulting in toxic effects. Okay. Next is use of steroid drugs or steroids. Third point, steroids, hyperglycemic glycosuria, use of steroids, and sometimes it can also be stress induced. So the basic cause of hyperglycemic glycosuria will be raised blood glucose level beyond renal threshold, leading to excretion of the excess amount of glucose. And the conditions where hyperglycemic glycosuria is found is diabetes mellitus, thyrotoxicosis, use of steroid, stress induced. Fine. Another thing can happen, that is elementary glycosuria. Elementary means related to food intake. If anybody takes excessive amount of carbohydrate or excessive amount of glucose for one instance, so that will lead to excretion of the excess glucose via urine. So this is transient. Elementary glycosuria is mainly because of a sudden surge of glucose or food intake, excessive food intake. So that will also lead to hyperglycemic. That will also lead to rise in the blood glucose level beyond renal threshold. Fine. Now come to the normoglycemic glycosuria. What is the pathophysiology or mechanism of glycosuria in normoglycemic? In normoglycemic, blood glucose is normal. Okay. Here blood glucose is more than renal threshold. Here blood glucose is normal. So where the problem lies? Transport or in the reabsorption part, or there is any defect in the nephrons. Okay, so there the causes can be, or the situations can be can you name any? Number one is renal glycosuria or familial renal glycosuria. Okay, in familial renal glycosuria, what happens? There is a mutation for SGLT2 transporter. So SGLT2 transporters are defective. In familial renal glycosuria, although the blood glucose level is normal, the SGLT2 transporters, they are defective because of a mutation. Okay, that will result in less reabsorption and more excretion. Fine. Next comes Fanconi syndrome. Fanconi syndrome is global PCT defect, global PCT dysfunction. What is global PCT dysfunction? All over the PCT. Okay, all the transporters, not only glucose transporters, all the transporters, they are defective. So the function of PCT is overall hampered. Okay, so there along with glycosuria, what is seen? What else is seen? Amino aciduria. Like glycosuria is there, then bicarbonate urea. Okay. Next is phosphate urea. Everything is excreted via urine in Fanconi syndrome. It is a global PCT dysfunction. Clear? So, normoglycemic glycosuria can be seen in familial renal glycosuria because of the mutation of SGLT2 transporter gene, and that will lead to lesser reabsorption. In case of Fanconi syndrome, there is a global PCT dysfunction leading to glycosuria along with amino acid urea, bicarbonate urea, phosphate urea. So, there will be, so if in normal blood glucose, glucose is getting excreted, what will happen? Energy deficit will be there. Energy deficit will lead to growth retardation. Growth retardation. Because of phosphate urea, bones will not be formed properly, okay? Dysfunctional bones will be there, resulting in rickets in children and osteomalacia in adults. Because of bicarbonate urea, it will lead to what is bicarbonate? Bicarbonate is base. So, if base is getting eliminated, so acid part will be raised. So, that will lead to acidosis. Metabolic acidosis will be there. Okay. Fine. So, in Fanconi syndrome, all these are seen along with glycosuria. Right? So, next comes the third point. 1, 2, next 3. Third point is pregnancy. This is not pathological, this is physiological. It is a physiological change that lead to decreased transport maximum along with sometimes decreased renal threshold also. Okay. So, for pregnant woman, renal threshold comes down to around 150 milligram per dl. It is not mandatory, but it is seen. Okay, their renal threshold comes down as GFR is increased. Okay, so the basic thing is decreased TM, decreased renal threshold, increased GFR, though blood glucose is normal. So, all the factors leading to glycosuria in pregnancy, they are blood glucose level is normal, but renal threshold is decreased. So, what happens when we take food? After 2 hours, it should come below 140. Eating glucose, right? Next, increased GFR. So, increased GFR will lead to more glucose or more faster glucose filtration in the PCT, and that may sometime saturate all the transporters, and that will lead to decreased TM. Okay. So, increased GFR will lead to decreased TM or transport maximum. It is fixed, like the number of transporters are fixed and the rate is also fixed. So, if we pass more filtrate, all the transporters are already working. So, excess amount will be excreted. So, these are the factors leading to glycosuria in pregnancy, and it is at normal glucose level. Okay. So, this is a physiological condition where we may see glycosuria. Another physiological situation, that is exercise. Excessive exercise may also lead to release of glucose in urine, that is transient. Immediately after the exercise, glucosuria can be seen. In fever also, in hyperthyroidism, hyperthyroidism. These are the conditions where blood glucose level remains normal but body can eliminate glucose. Fine. And the main factor behind normoglycemic glycosuria is decreased TM. The fault is in the kidney, in the nephrons. Okay. So is this clear? The classification of glycosuria, it can be hyperglycemic or normoglycemic. Yes, yes. In case of normal healthy adult, even after doing excessive exercise, transient glycosuria can be seen. Okay. In case of fever, hyperthyroidism, these states, until it gets to thyrotoxicosis, it is normoglycemic. Fine. So, is this clear? This part is clear? Okay. Next comes the types of glycosuria. Yes, yes. Stress is causing the hyperglycemic situation, hyperglycemic condition. No, thyrotoxicosis is a condition where chronic hyperthyroidism or sudden surge of thyroid hormone, sudden release of thyroid hormone from any OT surgery or anything, any trauma, that will lead to a sudden state of hyperglycemic condition. Okay. Thyrotoxicosis. Thyrotoxicosis is a state where thyroid hormones are in excessive amount, are released in excessive amount in our body. It can, but not the hyperglycemic condition cannot rise overnight. Okay, it will take a basic time. Okay, a minimum time is required, but it is mostly a sudden surge. Okay, sudden surge leading to hyperglycemic condition. Fine. Okay, thyrotoxicosis can be acute, can be chronic. Okay, so not always it is sudden. For a long chronic period, if thyroid hormones are overly released, it can cause thyrotoxicosis also. No, stress is a different factor. All the four, they are different factors, different conditions. Stress induced can be up for limited period. Okay, steroid use can be for limited period. After removal of stress, the glycemic level comes to normal. After stopping the steroids, it comes to the normal glycemic range. Okay. Achha? Any query? কিন্তু সে তো কনস্ট্যান্ট খাচ্ছে। we constantly take food, তাই না, at normal interval. হ্যাঁ, হতে পারে তো ফ্যাঙ্কানিতে গ্রোথ রিটার্ডেশন হচ্ছে, তো ফ্যাঙ্কানিতে গ্রোথ রিটার্ডেশন হচ্ছে। আচ্ছা, another thing, আরেকটা জিনিসে হয়, that is a drug, that is SGLT2 inhibitors. এটা একটা সেপারেট কন্ডিশন. It is kind of man-made glycosuria, okay, or forced glycosuria. It is for treatment purpose. In case of treatment of diabetes mellitus, okay, where the blood glucose level is already high, it is, our goal is to manage the blood glucose level. Okay, so to keep it down, to keep it normal, SGLT2 inhibitors are used. So what they do, they just block SGLT2 transporters. Okay, so majority of the glucose is excreted, leading to low blood glucose. যেটা তুই জিজ্ঞেস করলি, সেটা এখানে যতটা না হয়, এটা এখানে ইউজ করা হয়। ওকে, SGLT2 inhibitors are used to lower the blood glucose level in diabetic patients to keep the blood glucose level normal by inhibiting these transporters and forcefully removing the excess glucose. Fine? ঠিক আছে? তো এক্ষেত্রে আমাদের অতটা হয় না, ঠিক আছে, অতটাও মেজর কোনো এফেক্ট দেখা যায় না। ফ্যামিলিয়াল রেনাল গ্লাইকোসুরিয়া ইজ আ বিনাইন কন্ডিশন। Fanconi is a like symptomatic treatment is there, but in familial renal glycosuria it is nothing to be bothered about. Okay, clear? So SGLT2 inhibitors, they are also they can cause glycosuria, that is drug induced. Other than these two, this is drug induced. Okay, forced. Fine. Acha. আর কি হলো? Now come to the types of glycosuria. These are the classification based on the pathophysiology. Now come to the types of glycosuria according to their chemical nature. So glucosuria, we all know glucosuria. So how to confirm the presence of glucose in urine? Molish is for general carbohydrate detection. Benedict's is for all the reducing sugars. সব বলে যায়, এক এক করে সব বলে দেয়। Glucose oxidase test, enzymatic test, enzyme specific for glucose is used for detection of glucose in urine, and that is done by glucose oxidase test. Nowadays glucose oxidase test is done in the stick method, dipstick method. So we have to dip a stick and that stick is embedded with glucose oxidase enzyme on it. So not only the glucose oxidase, various reagents or enzymes are embedded in that strip to find whether there is protein, whether there is ketones, whether there is any other abnormal constituents along with the glucose. Fine. So for glucose, detection of glucose or glucosuria, we can do a reducing sugar test, that is Benedict. It will give whether any reducing sugar is present or not, and after that we can perform the dipstick test, where if it comes positive, the nature of the reducing sugar is glucose. We can call it as glucosuria. Okay, so next, after glucosuria, what is the most common glycosuria? Lactoseuria. Okay, so lactoseuria is seen in mostly in a physiological condition, and that is again pregnancy. In lactating mother and in pregnant woman, from third trimester of pregnancy till the lactating period, mother can excrete lactose in urine, that is known as lactoseuria. Okay, so this is a physiological condition, needs no intervention. Next comes the fructoseuria. Okay, so fructose is found in fruits, okay, and all the fruits. Okay, so now what happens when we take any food? It will come to the basic monosaccharide before absorption. Okay, so glucose and fructose, and is lactose a monosaccharide? So it is composed of galactose and glucose. So glucose, fructose, galactose, all these monosaccharides, they get absorbed in our gut. So now what happens in our body? Main motto of all the carbohydrates is to provide energy, and to provide energy we have to go through which cycle? Initial cycle of glycolysis to provide pyruvate. Okay, so glucose itself will go to glycolysis, fructose will be converted and will get broken down and then will come into glycolysis, galactose will be converted into glucose and then will come into glycolysis. So main motto, if glucose is enough, that is okay, if not, then it will come from gluconeogenesis and all. Okay, so main motto is to go through a metabolic process that will provide energy. Fine. So for fructose, the first metabolic process for using fructose is to convert fructose to fructose 6-phosphate, and the enzyme is fructokinase. If there is any defect or deficiency of the fructokinase enzyme, that will lead to prevention of glucose utilization, leading to accumulation of fructose in our blood. Fine. So there are two enzymes. One is fructokinase. Next, from fructose 6-phosphate, aldolase B acts on fructose 6-phosphate. Okay. To convert it into glyceraldehyde, 3-phosphate-glyceraldehyde and DHAP. Okay. So these two enzymes, first of all, if fructokinase is absent, the second step also occurs by fructokinase. Okay. So if fructokinase is deficit and aldolase B is deficit, so it will lead to fructosuria. How? It will lead to accumulation of fructose in body and that will be eliminated. There is no designated fructose transporter. Okay. There is no designated fructose transporter in kidney. So fructose will be freely eliminated. Fine. That will lead to fructosuria. So this is a pathological condition where the deficit enzymes, you have to remember the name of the enzymes. One is fructokinase, another is aldolase B. So these two enzymes, if deficit, that will lead to fructosuria. Fine. So how to confirm whether this is fructose or not? After reducing sugar positive test, Selivanov. Very good, to detect the ketone group, Selivanov. Next comes the galactoseuria. Galactoseuria. So here what happens? Galactose comes from lactose and it is converted to glucose by various metabolic processes. In this, one important enzyme is galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. Okay, galactose 1-phosphate uridyl, URIDYL transferase. Galactose 1-phosphate uridyl, URIDYL transferase. Okay. So what happens? Galactose 1-phosphate with UDP. Okay, it is converted into glucose 1-phosphate and galactose UDP. Fine. So this reaction is mediated by this enzyme, galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. If this enzyme is deficit or defective, that will stop the conversion of glucose to galactose to glucose, leading to accumulation of galactose in body, leading to galactosemia, a condition known as galactosemia. Anything when it rises, when the concentration of any component or analyte rises in our blood, it is denoted as emia. Okay, so galactosemia is increased galactose in blood. Now it is obvious to get excreted the excess amount, right? So galactose will be excreted in urine, leading to galactosuria. Fine. And this in galactosemia, what else we can see as a symptom or a manifestation sign? That is, galactose is converted into galactitol, okay, the alcohol part, and it gets accumulated in our lens, leading to cataract. Okay, আমরা পড়েছিলাম যখন আমরা রিডাকশন রিঅ্যাকশন গুলো পড়েছিলাম তখন সরবিটল পড়েছিলাম, সরবিটল গ্লুকোজ থেকে বা ফ্রুক্টোজ থেকে হচ্ছিল, সরবিটল ডিপোজিট হলেও ক্যাটারাক্ট হতে পারে, সো গ্যালাক্টিটল থেকেও হতে পারে। ওকে, সো ইন কেস অফ গ্যালাক্টোসেমিয়া গ্যালাক্টোসিউরিয়া হতে পারে আর ক্যাটারাক্ট তার সাথে থাকতে পারে, ডেভেলপ করতে পারে। Galactosemia, the condition that will lead to galactosuria, and along with that another sign can be found, that is cataract. Fine. Next is another thing, that is pentosuria, essential pentosuria. So what are the pentose we know about? Ribose, ribulose, xylose, xylulose, Okay, arabinose, all these things. So these intermediates or these pentose sugars are found in which pathway? এখনো তোদের পড়ানো হয়নি, that is HMP pathway, okay, or pentose phosphate pathway, PPP pathway, okay, pentose sugar pathway. So it is the pathway to produce ribose sugars. So the intermediates are xylose, xylulose. In case of essential pentosuria, what happens? L-xylulose is accumulated in our body. L-xylulose. Xylulose is a keto sugar. Pentose sugar in keto form. So L-xylulose is accumulated in our body because of the deficiency or defect in the enzyme xylulose dehydrogenase or xylulose reductase. These two enzymes can be defective, causing in excess accumulation of L-xylulose. So the enzymes are xylulose reductase or xylulose dehydrogenase. যখন পড়ানো হবে further তখন আবার রিলেট করতে পারবি HMP pathway যখন পড়ানো হবে, but for a basic note you can write down the name of the enzymes so that when you read that pathway then you can correlate. Okay, so xylulose reductase and xylulose dehydrogenase, these two enzymes deficiency can lead to accumulation of L-xylulose and elimination of L-xylulose in urine. So this is a pentose sugar and it will give positive Benedict's, right? So to detect L-xylulose, and this condition is known as essential pentosuria. Essential pentosuria, and this is also a benign condition. So no harm in this essential pentosuria. Fine. L-xylulose is the sugar. L-xylulose is the pentose sugar, pentose keto sugar. Okay, so that gets accumulated when the enzyme xylulose reductase or xylulose dehydrogenase is deficit. Okay, and it gets eliminated in urine, resulting in pentosuria. Fine. Essential karon this cannot be treated. Okay, in case of fructosuria also, essential fructosuria is known as the condition known where the enzyme fructokinase is deficit. This cannot be overcome. Okay, so clear all the types: glucosuria, lactoseuria, fructoseuria, galactoseuria and essential pentosuria. Fine. Okay. So for lab detection we also discussed basic. For glucose it is glucose oxidase, for fructose it is Selivanose. So now discuss few MCQs. Okay, right, tell me, glycosuria appears when filtered glucose load exceeds, options are renal plasma flow, GFR, renal blood flow, transport maximum. Glycosuria appears when filtered glucose load mane filtered glucose load exceeds renal plasma flow, renal blood flow, GFR, transport maximum. So the amount of transport maximum is already fixed. It is 375 milligram per minute. So if more glucose is coming down, it will get exceeded. Okay. Usual renal threshold for glucose in adults is 180 milligram per DL. Okay. Glycosuria with normal blood glucose is characteristic of diabetes mellitus, thyrotoxicosis, Cushing syndrome or renal glycosuria. Glycosuria with normal blood sugar is characteristic of renal glycosuria. Familial renal glycosuria occurs due to a mutation in GLUT1, GLUT2, SGLT1, SGLT2. Okay. Which sugar gives positive Benedict taste but negative glucose oxidase dipstick? Positive Benedict but negative glucose oxidase dipstick. Glucose, xylulose, maltose, sucrose. Gives positive Benedict but negative dipstick. Xylulose. Okay. Sucrose to Benedict to দেয় না. So sucrose is eliminated in the first line. So positive Benedict is found in all three. Glucose, xylulose and maltose. What is maltose? It's a disaccharide of glucose. Glucose plus glucose. So when reacting with oxidase, it can be broken down into 2 glucose and give positive oxidase. Okay. Next, essential pentosouria is due to deficiency of. Essential pentosouria is due to deficiency of fructokinase, aldolase B, xylulose reductase, aldolase reductase, xylulose reductase. এখন তো খুব ইজি মনে হচ্ছে, পরীক্ষার সময় তখন সব মাথার উপর দিয়ে যাবে। ওকে, glycosuria in pregnancy occurs mainly because low GFR, increased renal threshold, decreased tubular reabsorption, decreased renal threshold. Decreased renal threshold. এখানে যদি অপশন থাকতো decreased transport maximum তাহলে সেটাও হতো। SGLT2 reabsorbs glucose from thick ascending limb, proximal tubule, distal tubule, collecting duct. Proximal tubules. ক্লিয়ার? বোঝা যাচ্ছে তো? হয়েছে? কোশ্চেন গুলো সবাই রিলেট করতে পারছিস তো? Fanconi syndrome causes glycosuria because of hyperglycemia, reduced GFR, generalized PCT defect, decreased insulin. Generalized PCT defect, global PCT dysfunction. Okay. Transient postprandial glycosuria occurs because insulin deficiency, renal damage, blood glucose exceeding 180 mg per dl briefly, no SGLT2 activity. Blood glucose exceeding 180 transiently. In essential fructosuria, the enzyme deficit is aldolase B, fructokinase, UDP galactose transferase, galactokinase, fructokinase. Aldolase B is the second line enzyme. The first line enzyme to activate the metabolic pathway is fructokinase. So when fructokinase is deficit, it is known as the essential fructosuria. Which condition shows hyperglycemic glycosuria? Familial renal glycosuria, galactosemia, diabetes mellitus, pentosuria. Diabetes mellitus. Transport maximum for glucose is approximately 125, 180, 375, 500. Which segment shows high affinity, low capacity glucose reabsorption? S1, S2, S3, loop of ND. S3. High affinity, low capacity. Positive Benedict test plus negative dipstick suggest diabetes mellitus, hyperglycemia, presence of reducing sugars other than glucose, renal failure. C. The presence of other glucose, other reducing substances. Okay. Normoglycemic glycosuria is commonly seen in DKA. DKA is diabetic ketoacidosis, hyperthyroidism, pregnancy, Cushing syndrome, pregnancy. Hyperthyroidism এও হতে পারে, কিন্তু in case of long standing hyperthyroidism it may get to hyperglycemia also. Okay. Essential pentosuria is pathological, associated with kidney damage, benign hereditary condition caused by hyperglycemia. Benign hereditary condition. Which glucose transporter is responsible for basolateral exit from PCT? GLUT1 and GLUT2, GLUT4, SGLT2, SGLT1. GLUT1 and 2. Okay, 1 ও থাকে কোথাও কোথাও, 1 ও থাকে, mainly GLUT2 থাকে.